A man is choking in the middle of a crowded dirt road. His face is turning a deep, unnatural red. The dust of the street kicks up around his sandals as he desperately struggles to breathe. The hands, wrapped tightly around his throat, are unyielding. They are pressing harder by the second. The man doing the choking is screaming. He is demanding money. He wants what is his. You can imagine the crowd gathering. You can see them pulling back, watching the violence unfold in the afternoon heat. The man on the ground gasps for air. He finally manages to squeeze out a single desperate sentence. "Have patience with me, and I will pay you." It is a pathetic plea. It is the exact same string of words a terrified servant would use while begging for his life before a king. But there is no king in this alleyway. Just dust, just anger, just a debt of 100 silver coins. A few months of wages. We are going to leave this man choking on the dirt for a moment. We will come back to him. Because the hands wrapped around his throat hold a secret so dark, it will completely change how you read your Bible. For 2,000 years, people have read the 18th chapter of Matthew and thought they understood what Jesus was saying here. They hear this story and think it is just a nice, simple parable about getting along with your neighbor. They think it is a mild moral lesson on anger management. They are wrong. This is not a story about financial management. This is not a story about ancient Roman tax laws. This is not a story about simply being a good person. This is a story about the terrifying, impossible math of grace. Jesus is about to tell a story that will make his closest friends freeze in their tracks. He is going to use numbers so impossibly large they sound like a mathematical joke, and numbers so small they will completely break your heart. He is going to take you inside a royal throne room, and by the time he finishes speaking, he will show you the exact horrifying cost of the grudges you are holding on to right now. You see, you have a ledger, a mental spreadsheet of every time someone has wronged you. You know exactly what they owe you. But today, Jesus is going to look at your ledger, and what he reveals might just save your life. It starts with a math problem. Simon Peter, the loud, impulsive fisherman, walks up to Jesus. You can almost see him doing the calculations in his head. He has been wronged. Someone has hurt him, and he wants to know exactly where the boundary line of grace is drawn. "Lord, how often will my brother sin against me and I forgive him? As many as 7 times?" Peter is expecting a pat on the back. He thinks he is being incredibly generous. The religious teachers of his day, the rabbis, taught that you had to forgive someone 3 times. That was the rule. Peter takes that rule, doubles it, and throws in one more just to be safe. 7 times. It sounds so holy. It sounds so complete. Jesus looks at him, and with one sentence, Jesus shatters the limits of human grace. I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times. Or in some translations, 70 times 7. Jesus is not giving Peter a new equation. He is telling him to throw away the calculator completely. And to make sure Peter understands just how serious this is, Jesus begins to tell a story. He takes us inside the marble walls of a royal palace. The king is settling his accounts. The air in the throne room is heavy. Guards bring a man forward. He is a high-ranking royal official, a governor or a treasurer, because the debt he owes is not a normal number. He owes the king 10,000 talents. Here is what most people miss when they read this number. They think it just means a lot of money. They do not realize it is an impossible, almost comical exaggeration. The Greek word used here is talenton. A talent was the largest unit of currency in the ancient world. Just 1 talent was roughly 75 pounds of solid gold or silver. It was equivalent to 20 years of labor for an average worker. This man owes 10,000 of them. To put this in perspective, the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus recorded the tax records of that era. He wrote that the total annual tax revenue for all of Judea, Idumea, Samaria, and Galilee combined was only about 600 talents. This servant owes 10,000. It is billions of dollars. It is more money than actually existed in circulation in the entire region. You do not get a debt this large by accident. You get it by embezzling the royal treasury on a catastrophic, multi-generational scale. The king issues the only logical decree. The man must be sold as a slave. His wife must be sold. His children must be sold. Everything he has will be liquidated. Total, permanent destruction. The man falls on his face before the king. You can hear the terror in his voice. He screams out a desperate, pathetic promise. Have patience with me, and I will pay you everything. It is a lie. He could work for 1,000 lifetimes and never even pay off the interest. But he is terrified. He is begging for a payment plan that is mathematically impossible. Now watch what happens next. The king looks down at this corrupt, desperate man. He does not laugh at the ridiculous promise. He does not reduce the debt to a manageable number. He feels something much deeper. The original Greek text says the king was moved with compassion, but the English word compassion is too weak. The Greek word is splagchnizomai. It does not mean a polite feeling of pity. It means a visceral, gut-wrenching physical reaction to someone else's pain. The king's stomach literally twists in knots as he looks at this broken man. And because of that physical reaction of love, the king does the unthinkable. He uses the word aphiemi. It means to send away, to hurl completely out of sight. The king releases the man, and he completely forgives the 10,000 talents. The billions of dollars of debt evaporate in a single second. You can imagine the silence in the throne room, the sheer shock. This man, whose life was over just a moment ago, walks out of the palace a completely free man. His ledger is entirely wiped clean. This is the pattern we see every single time the God of the universe deals with human sin. We bring him our calculations. We bring him our limits. We offer to forgive someone 7 times and think we are being remarkably holy. And God responds by wiping out a multi-billion-dollar bankruptcy without a second thought. His grace completely shatters our human logic. If you have ever felt the crushing weight of your own failures and then experienced the impossible relief of God's forgiveness, take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment below if you know exactly what it feels like to have a 10,000 talent debt completely erased. Your engagement helps us share this exact message of grace with people who are suffocating under their own guilt today. But as we are about to see, receiving that grace is only the beginning of the story. Because what this forgiven man does next is the real reason Jesus is speaking. The man walks out of the palace doors, the heavy wooden gates close behind him. The air in his lungs is the air of a completely free man. You would think he would run straight home to his wife. You would think he would gather his children and weep with joy. You would think he would be so overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the grace he just received that it would permanently change his heart. But it gets stranger. He does not go home. He walks down the stone steps and heads directly into the crowded city streets. He is looking for someone. He is hunting. He finds a fellow servant, a man who works alongside him, and this man owes him a debt of 100 denarii. A denarius was a day's wage for a common laborer in the Roman world. So 100 denarii is about 3 months of pay. It is not pocket change. It is a real debt. It is a missed rent payment. It is a lean winter. But compared to 10,000 talents, compared to the billions he was just forgiven, it is absolutely nothing. It is a single drop of water next to an endless ocean. Jesus tells us exactly what this forgiven man does next. He walks up to his fellow servant. He does not ask for the money politely. He does not offer a reasonable payment plan. He reaches out, grabs the man by the throat, and begins to choke him. This brings us right back to the dust of that alleyway from the beginning. The man on the ground is suffocating. He is gasping for air, pleading for his life. And he uses the exact same string of words the first servant used in the throne room just moments ago. Have patience with me and I will pay you. Stay with me, because the psychology of this moment is absolutely terrifying. The first servant hears the exact same plea for mercy that he just spoke to the king. He hears the desperation. He knows what it feels like to be the man on the ground, terrified of losing everything. He should have looked at this man and felt that same gut-wrenching compassion. He should have remembered the king. Instead, he refuses. His heart is completely hard. He drags the man away and throws him into debtor's prison until the 100 denarii is paid in full. Standing in the crowd, listening to Jesus tell this story, is a man named Matthew. Matthew is one of the disciples, but before he met Jesus, he was a tax collector. He worked for the Roman Empire. He spent his entire career squeezing debts out of desperate people. Matthew knows exactly how ruthless the collection business is. He has probably thrown men into prison for 100 denarii himself. You can imagine Matthew listening to this, his heart pounding in his chest. Matthew knows better than anyone the dark, greedy math of the human heart. He knows how quickly we forget the grace we have been given the second someone owes us a dime. The contrast is sickening. The king forgave an unpayable, impossible fortune. The servant refuses to forgive a standard, everyday debt. The grace he received did not change him. It only made him arrogant. Word of this violence spreads quickly through the streets, and it is not long before it reaches the ears of the king. The doors of the throne room swing open again. But this time, the king is not moved with compassion. The guards drag the first servant back across the marble floor. He is thrown down. The king looks at him, and the air in the room turns ice cold. "You wicked servant! I forgave you all that debt because you pleaded with me. And should not you have had mercy on your fellow servant, as I had mercy on you?" The king revokes the grace. In his righteous anger, he hands the man over to the jailers. Some translations say the torturers, until the impossible debt is paid in full. The man is locked away in darkness, facing a sentence that will literally never end. And this brings us back to that dusty alleyway, to the hands wrapped tightly around a man's throat. We started this story by looking at a man choking the life out of his fellow servant over a few silver coins. But here is the terrifying truth Jesus is revealing. When you hold on to bitterness, when you refuse to forgive the people who have deeply hurt you, you are not punishing them. The hands wrapped around that throat are actually your own. You are choking the spiritual life out of your own soul. You are not locking them in a cell. You are building a prison for yourself, and you are handing the keys to the torturers. We all do this. You have a mental spreadsheet, a meticulously updated ledger where you record every time a spouse spoke sharply to you, every time a friend betrayed your trust, every time a parent failed to show up. You calculate those 100 denarii debts with absolute precision. You want justice. You want them to pay. And while you are obsessing over those few silver coins, you are completely ignoring the 10,000 talent bankruptcy file that the God of the universe just threw into the fire for you. We are standing in the ashes of our own multi-billion-dollar pardon, aggressively demanding a $10 refund. Jesus finishes this story by looking directly at his disciples, and he delivers a warning that should shake us to our core. So also, my heavenly Father will do to every one of you, if you do not forgive your brother from your heart. It is a holy terror. You cannot receive the infinite, bleeding grace of the King and then weaponize your anger against your neighbor. As we step out of this terrifying story, there are 3 things you must carry with you. First, the grace of God is an utterly absurd equation. It is not a polite pardon for minor mistakes. It is the immediate, permanent cancellation of a 10,000 talent bankruptcy that you could never, ever repay. Second, you cannot accept a $1 billion pardon from the king and then condemn your neighbor over $10. The grace you receive must become the grace you extend. If the mercy stops with you, it was never truly grace at all. And third, this is the hardest one. Unforgiveness is not how you punish the person who broke your heart. Unforgiveness is the prison you build for yourself. When you keep that ledger open, you are the one living in the dark. Tear up the spreadsheet, let the debt go, and walk out of the prison. Who is the person you need to rip up 100 denarii debt for today? Tell me below in the comments. I want to read your stories. And if this video helped you see the terrifying, beautiful math of God's grace differently, subscribe to the channel. We have so much more of the Bible to uncover together. I will see you in the next one.